Welcome back to another episode of Business Journey Unlocked. I'm joined today with Rabbi Yossi Eliav, founder behind US Virtual Guard, a fast growing remote guarding company that blends AI threat detection with live human monitoring. It's actually very interesting stuff. When I actually got to dive into his company, I was very impressed with everything he's doing. So, Rabbi Eliav, I'm going to turn it over to you so you can give a brief overview of yourself and the company as a whole.
Thank you so much, Kevin. It's great to meet you. Great to connect, and it's humbling that you obviously took interest in what we're doing and recognize the niche and the specialty and of what we're doing. It's special work to be able to to protect people and be there for people's security. It's a very personal thing to people. Obviously, they're allowing us to watch over them. There's um, something very personal about that and a big level of trust that they put in us, and we don't take that lightly. We started out as a small company here in New York. And thank God we have accounts all around the country, millions of square feet that we're protecting, whether it's shopping centers, office buildings, apartment buildings, luxury homes, people who leave their homes for long periods of time. People have houses in New York, and then they have houses in the Hamptons, and they have a home in Florida. And people can't be everywhere at once, right? So we're watching it for them.
That's amazing. That's
Coming up with a
awesome.
lot of unique technologies in the healthcare space. Um, I know we're doing psych wards now. We're doing old age homes. We're doing houses of worship. A lot of interesting stuff.
And it's only going to go on from there. This is just the
Nice.
beginning, right?
Yeah.
For people who are just hearing about your company for the first time, what
Mhm.
essentially is the core mission that you instill in yourself, your team, and the clients you have?
The core mission is we want people to have us on their home, on their business, on their child's school, on their children's campus, and know that they are safe and have a feeling and a sense that they're being watched and they're safe. So
The biggest thing revolving around, the AI and the monitoring is like the confidentiality aspect. Now, you can dive into going into like people hacking into these kind of softwares. What implementation do you have to prevent such actions from happening?
technology by us is, security in terms of communications and networking is on the top of our priorities. And we have some really smart people working on this whole day to come up with unique technologies and unique solutions per site, by the way. It's not always the same for everybody. It depends on the type of site. It depends on what the cameras are, what type of cameras, what location are, where they are, etc., and how we will determine the best security for the connectivity and the privacy issues at hand. One of the big things I would say that we're very unique with is that everybody watching our cameras are all in house employees. They're all vetted, they're all security professionals, they all have security licenses, and we take people's privacy so seriously that, in fact, the room where our cameras are watched is a no cell phone zone. Okay, so our guards watching the cameras aren't even allowed to bring their cell phones in. Number one, serves the purpose of it just helps them focus on what they're doing. And two, privacy.
Exactly. No, agreed. Agree with that 100%. The biggest thing that I've seen with people starting businesses that there was most of the time there was a personal situation or a personal connection that really pushed them to starting their business. So based on that, was there a certain situation in the community you're in your own life that made you really think we need to have a different type of security model?
I'm going to tell you. So, living in Brooklyn, living in New York, um, being Jewish, being involved with campus students, and watching a lot of the crime and hate that's spreading all around us. Unfortunately, not just my community alone, but many communities all around the country feel unsafe, feel threatened, and they're looking for ways to be able to protect themselves and protect their children and protect their families without breaking the bank. So this is sort of the concept. Everybody has to contribute in their way. This started out as how do we contribute to to the solution of this problem? And this is what we came up with, and thank God.
Beautiful. Essentially, you built this company to just monitor the threat levels for institutions and other various companies. It is upsetting, but with stuff that this happens, it really truly shows people that you need this type of aspect. And what you're going on, you're trying to be more cost effective using the technical aspect.
I'm going to give you an example. I want to say cost effective, but I also want to say better.
Better.
Okay?
Mm,
So we don't just claim to be a cheaper option; we claim to be an enhanced option.
exactly.
Let me give you an example. A school has a security guard. The building's 50,000 square feet. The guard only sees the front entrance, assuming he's not on his lunch break or at the bathroom or on his phone. So even if he's on full focus at the door that he's standing, there's still three other sides to the building, at least. He can't be everywhere at once. He or she can't see everything at once. So even if they're doing their very best, there's still a very big security gap all around. Okay. That's number one. Number two, let's talk about the time where there is no guard there at night. In fact, most hours of the 24/7, there's not going to be a guard on site. Guard's going to only be there when there are people there. But what happens if, God forbid, someone comes at night and places a bomb at a garbage can near the building? Or if someone's scouting the property around trying to study it and see the dynamics of the property so that, God forbid, they can plan for an horrific attack. No one is going to know about it. No one's going to see it. So imagine if we're watching everything, there's 24/7 eyes on the property, on the house of worship, on the school, on the campus. And when the guard comes in the morning, we give them the data that they need. We give them information. Hey, obviously, if there's an immediate emergency, we'll deal with it. We'll coordinate it. We'll give a full emergency response. Our full emergency response team will come into action. But if it's just data, someone came past the building and was standing outside in a suspicious way and taking photos and taking pictures or something like that, we're going to give that information over to the guard in the morning. We have an app. We have a special app that communicates with the guard who comes in the morning. We let it, and the other stakeholders of the property, and we'll say, hey, this is what happened last night. Keep extra watch. Look out if you see this person come by again. It's what we do. That's why I
That's
say it's not just cheaper, it's better. It's
It's more
needed, it's
enhanced, as you
necessary.
mentioned, and you do make a good perspective. With Now, I'm not too well versed into how security is for campuses, school, college, high schools.
So the federal government is giving, tremendous amount of money every single year for security grants for non-for-profits. And people around the country are spending every year billions of dollars to install a security system that do you zero good in real time. All of those systems are for after the fact. All those systems are reactive tools. So what we say as a company, clients, is you spent all this money, you put in all this infrastructure. What good is it doing for you in real time? So that someone who has a home and was robbed can come home and see the cameras and watch how he was robbed like an action movie. So that, God forbid, we have more school shootings. And what could we do? You could go back on the camera so you could send it to television and show them how the attacker came in and what happened. So people could watch their business and their livelihood get robbed in front of their eyes after the fact. What if we were watching it in real time? It's such a simple solution, what we're talking about, but it works. It saves assets, it saves people's livelihood, and it saves lives. A few weeks ago, and you could see this on our Instagram, I think we're holding at about 365,000 views. This girl who was drugged, was dragged out of an apartment and thrown under a staircase. And it was the middle of the night in a big apartment building. No one saw it. So what would have happened? 6, 7 a.m. would come, people would open their door to go to work. Below, kids open the door to go to school and find a body in the hallway. Think of the trauma. Think of the craziness, the chaos that would cause for the tenants and for the landlord of the building and the management. Nobody wants to live in a building with his bodies. Because US Virtual Guard was watching it in real time, we called EMS. They were there within minutes and saved the girl's life.
It's beautiful.
And the guy who dragged her out of the apartment was trying to run away on the cameras. That's what it looked like. He was leaving. And on the bullhorns, we shouted to the cops. It's the guy in the gray shirt and the black cap. You can check this out on Instagram. And they were able to approach him, right? So it's two. Look at the case, what happened. Look at what would have been with regular cameras. Look at what actually happened with US Virtual Guard. Look at the difference. One is reactive, one is proactive. One is
Precisely.
just there so you could go and look, but the damage would have already been done. The poor girl would have been dead. Kids would have been traumatized. People would be, depressed about where they live. People would need to deal with all that trauma. Landlords would have a headache that nobody wants to live in his building anymore. Made all that go away.
Yeah, and again, that's what your whole company core mission is about.
Yeah.
It's about being reactive and just doing it right then and there, not doing it after the fact.
We have a few weeks ago, we prevented a fire at a house of worship in New York. It wasn't a hate crime, actually. It was just someone, poor homeless guy who was on drugs and he was cold at night and wanted to be warm. And he thought it was a good idea to put a bonfire together near a wood structure in Brooklyn. And while he was collecting all the twigs and the wood and putting it together before he even managed to light it, we already had emergency response to remove him from the property. So even though, again, it wasn't targeted, it wasn't a hate crime, but he would have burnt down the building in the process. So, that's another thing we're very, very proud of.
And you should be proud of
Yeah.
that. Should be very proud of that. I do love that. So looking at, security as a whole, there's not a lot of companies that are doing what you're doing, involving AI to really hone in on just everything, making sure you're crossing your T's, dotting your I's. What major shifts are you personally seeing in the security world right now? And especially we can go in terms of like community spaces, faith-based spaces, and just along those lines.
I want to tell you like this. It's very unfortunate that people in nature choose to be reactive over proactive. People don't respond unless there's pain. It's very sad, because every time there's an attack or a school shooting, suddenly we're getting more calls, right? Yeah, what did you call us a week before? But that's the nature of people. That's how people are. So, when we're talking about just watching office buildings and residential buildings and, we're just looking to protect property, it's one type of thing. But when we're talking about houses of worship and schools, we're talking about protecting lives, and we take that a whole lot more serious. It's a big responsibility. We don't mess around. Um, I want to tell you another thing. You mentioned, AI, and obviously AI is a big buzzword, and I don't want to burst the bubble and any at all. Um, when it comes to this specific space, there are a lot of gaps in it, and it actually not being fully reliant on AI is what sets us apart from every other company in the country. So a lot of the other companies out there are relying on the AI to process the feeds, to send an alert, and then someone actually reviews it. And there's a big gap there. There's a lot of false alarms. There's a lot of things that are missed. There are a lot of things that AI cannot process yet. It works in some areas, but in many it doesn't. Especially in big cities, AI works much less. Explain to you the technicality of why, if you like. But this is really what sets us apart from every other company out there, is that we have real people sitting watching cameras, and that's very, very proving to be a very big niche and specialty that we as a company are taking on.
It's just revolving around the fact that sure, yeah, AI automation can help you, but it's going on to the fact that you shouldn't overly rely on it. It complements the business, but you shouldn't overly rely on it, which some people are doing. Granted, there's people not just in the business sense, but in a personal sense, where they ask ChatGPT all questions, every single question. It's like, what's the thought on that? There's no thought on that anymore. You're having somebody else think for you, and that's horrible to do. It's horrible to do.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. I personally believe that it could help people get more done. It could help
Oh
people be
yeah.
more productive, especially when it comes to things like writing,
Hmm.
drafting emails, coming up with different, communications and things like that. I think it's very useful. At the same time, I feel that, not feel, I know and I see it. People think that what we do is magic. Hey, it's just, yeah, sure, AI does everything. It's far from the truth. AI, in our case, we rely on it, on certain pieces, not when it comes to the actual video processing. We have real people watching real video feeds to determine what's suspicious, what's not suspicious. The AI just, I'll give you an example. The reason I said in big cities AI works less is because AI can't process, 1,000 people on Fifth Avenue walking past your house. AI can work in, if someone has a vacant farm in Kentucky, so when anyone who comes onto the property, it's just a simple thing that you're telling the system to do, to give an alert when someone enters the property, right? You could have that on your ring system. If there's a certain motion detection or movement, it's going to give you an alert, right? It's going to give you a notification. But when it comes to places like big cities, again, you need to you need to watch some cameras. You can't just rely on AI everywhere. It doesn't. When you talk about schools, AI doesn't understand context. Okay, so AI, for instance, cannot tell the difference between a group of kids running to play basketball or a group of kids running because someone's chasing them with a knife. You understand?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm not telling you what you want to hear.
No, you. No, 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 no. You're 100% on that. I do agree. It goes back to the input. The input, it's hard because with the input, as you just mentioned, it can't tell the difference between kids running to play basketball or kids running from an attacker. It simply can't. There's not input. And how would you get that input? The only input that the AI would see is if they see the object in the attacker's hand, the knife, the bat, or whatever object that he was using to potentially do harm on these individuals.
Might and it might not.
Mm.
Like we've even the greatest, gun detections out there. I hate to say it, it's a great marketing. It's a great marketing tool. There are people out there who really want it. So clients really, really want it. Yeah, we want to tell people we have this, and if they want it, we'll help them get it. We'll help them get the best one. But you can't rely on it because by the time a person pulls out a gun, it takes time. First of all, for it to process. AI. Even if you put something in ChatGPT and talk to it, it takes a few seconds to think. Imagine that the same thing is happening with the video it's processing. Whatever it's looking at, it's processing these images. It doesn't just happen like this. So by the time you get the notification, by the time the gun is out, unfortunately, it's probably too late to really do much about, right? In many cases, Uh, that's sort of a big issue with it. Another example is, if I'm holding, my pen like this, shouting at somebody, you might think it's a gun. If the gun, by the way, is covered, is inside a shopping bag or a paper bag or under my coat like this, it won't pick it up. It's only going to work, when they demo it, it works really well because they hold it like out in the open, right in front of the camera. Yeah, it picks it up, but it's unfortunately it's far from what people think it can do.
Yes, I do agree. And this is just the starting stage. AI is constantly evolving every day.
We use it in many other ways within the company that we can use it. I'm talking specifically about the video processing. There's many places where it doesn't work, right? And that's our niche to do those places. In a New York home, the doors on this many times is so close to the sidewalk, right? So AI can't process the difference between people standing outside to rob your house or people standing outside to smoke a cigarette because they're just hanging out. You can't, right? Again, we use AI in many instances, but this is sharing with you an example of where still still lacking.
Just one of many. So based on your company, trying to grow more nationwide, in your company, using the tools and workflows and automations that you use, what's working really well for you and what's more so time consuming or frustrating?
What's what's working really well for us doing initial homework on stuff, doing initial homework on ideas or concepts, um, preparing, texts for flyers or marketing materials, that can be helpful. Communications with, clients, with emails, writing, polishing up ideas for articles. Um, a lot of that is AI is very helpful and it's a great tool. Where it's very frustrating is one, like I told you before, everyone thinks that everything magically happens with AI and we're just a tech company and we have no people doing anything. It's all just automated and automatic. So every time they tell us, hey, why are you charging me all this money? It's just automatic. It's just the system does it. It happens on its own. You know, that's one part of it. And the second part of it is a lot of rabbit holes that we've gone down trying to make different AIs work. That again, on paper and concept, yeah, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be incredible. They don't really work.
Essentially going to it's not really working. You won't know until after the fact, after you try to do it. And that's just the beauty of life.
Putting in the money after putting in the time and effort. There's a lot that goes into try to make, some things work.
And
Yeah.
one biggest thing that a lot of people get into is just analysis paralysis. You can't do that. You gotta make sure you just gotta do it, essentially. Like a Nike. Just do it.
Do
But
it. You got to
yeah.
do it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Mhm, mhm.
And
But you
you know
won't
what?
know.
And when it doesn't work, at least I could sleep at night knowing I tried,
Exactly.
because otherwise I just keep dreaming about it. I have all these exciting ideas and someone tells me something could work. If I don't try it, I'll never forgive myself. I'll keep on saying, hey, I could have done that. It would have been amazing. It would have been a great idea. I sometimes just get off the bucket list. Okay, I tried it. It didn't work. And let's move on. You know,
Mhm. Move on to the next. So looking ahead going into 2026, what's what's an area you want to strongly get more involved in with US Virtual Guard?
so we are, hiring people now all around the country. We're really trying to grow those relationships that we have and hire more people and more staff and get out there and spread the word about what we're doing. That's our biggest challenge right now. It's just to scale. How to scale fast enough, not in terms of the operation. Thank God with the technology and the team that we have are phenomenal. Just in terms of the sales, to we have a great service, we have a great team, we have a great product. People are happy. And now it's just about getting out there and selling it to more people and telling more people, hey, we can solve your problem. We can help you.
That's your goal. That's what era you wanna go into. Now, when you think of a couple years out, what do you hope people will say about you as Virtual Guard and how it changed their building, their community that you're serving in? What kinda legacy essentially are you building to achieve?
The vision of the company is you as virtual guard is saving you money and giving you better security, peace of mind, saving lives, saving assets. Just what we want, we take pride. We want to be the best at what we do, and we are.
I love that. You gotta have that confidence. I love that confidence.
People said we were just at a big trade show the other week, the largest security trade show on the East Coast. And everyone who came by our booth, once they understood what we do, this is the largest security show, some real professionals there. Wow, you really do something unique. You really do something different. You're not the same like everybody else. They really, there are people who really appreciate it. The technology and solving different problems is also a big excitement and a big accomplishment. The fact that we've managed to build tech that no other company in the world has, and solve problems that other people don't have. Right now, we're just so busy dealing with the tech on our own. We're trying to actually think how to repackage it for external use to be able to license it to other people. There are a lot of people who can use tech, like some of the techs. Well, all the tech that we use is in-house tech. So like all our main systems are built in-house, etc. So yeah, I love building new exciting things that work. When it works, it's really cool.
It's awesome.
There's a lot of failed projects too.
But you got a lot of projects that didn't fail because of that. But you again, as you mentioned, you won't know. You check it off the bucket list.
Well, I think there's a saying. What is it? You fail every opportunity you didn't take.
Exactly. You miss 100% of the shots you do take.
100%. You go, you try things, and hopefully, hopefully they work. So thank God with you as virtual guard, it's really working, and with the tech, it's just yeah. We just a few minutes ago, we're just interviewing another sales guy, and we just hired more salespeople, and we're looking to hire now salespeople. I just put out an ad in California to hire more salespeople there, and to hire. I just put an ad in Florida.
Mhm.
We're trying to find someone in Connecticut and Memphis and in Tennessee. We're really pushing wherever we can.
And that's all you can do. You won't know until you actually do it, and that's just a way to grow. Sure, might be some bad apples out of the way, but those bad apples won't dictate everyone else. It's just you gotta lose them and go on to the next.
Exactly.
So one of the biggest questions I always enjoy asking is, you personally, what kind of habits or beliefs that you have that really helped you excel in your business and just overall in your daily lives?
First of all, believing that everything that's happening, whatever happens, is meant to be. This is the way it's meant to be. You can't cry over spilled milk, opportunities that didn't materialize. Whatever happens, that's exactly the way it's supposed to happen. I think also the work ethic. The work ethic, you can't buy that anywhere. And you need to work hard and you need to hustle and there's no other answer. I just saw a company yesterday. I liked it very much. I showed it to people on my team that they should see on their website. It says big success is not 9 to 5. You understand? It's you have to hustle, you have to work hard, and that's the only way. If you wanna be above average, you got to do above average. It's just the way it is.
And that's so right on so many levels. The sad thing is, comparing my generation, they don't wanna put in the effort that you're putting in right now. They just want to see the spoils of riches after the fact. But you have to start from somewhere, from nothing, and grow and expand. Sure, yeah, failures will come during the process. That's totally natural. That's totally normal. But it's from the fact, how would you react and adapt to
I'm
that?
going to tell you something. Young people, and I'm not so old, so I could say whatever I want about young people because I'm young. But young people in general are lazy. Okay, my generations, the generations under me, it just gets worse and worse. And part of it is because of, we're growing in this world where you don't have to pull out a map and look for directions. You don't have to stop a car and ask for someone, hey, am I driving in the right way? Right? You just pull it in the GPS and it tells you where to go. It's like you don't need anyone anymore.
Mhm.
You I'll just call an Uber and a private chauffeur will come pick me up. Think about that, right? 20 years ago, no one would dream of that being a reality. That on every car, on every corner, there'll be a car that could come pick you up and be your private driver and whatever you want. Hey, it's 12 o'clock at night. I'm hungry, right? We're in New York. You can call Uber Eats. You can call DoorDash, Grubhub. They're all fighting for you to call them. They'll bring you a big, hot, delicious meal. You know how tempting it is when it's 12, 1 o'clock in the morning? They'll bring you drinks. They'll bring you food. And now there's even companies, they'll deliver you toilet paper within 15 minutes. A friend of mine said he was in the bathroom. He saw he was low on toilet paper. He ordered toilet paper. All of a sudden, a couple minutes later, the bell is ringing. He was still in the bathroom. Okay. The toilet paper already arrived. He forgot that he ordered it. He was still on the toilet. You understand what kind of world we're living in? People, everything just, services just become more and more white glove and catered, and everybody wants to be in the VIP and in the first class section without working for it.
Hmm.
You got to pay. There's a premium to be able to afford those services. There's a premium to order Uber Eats. It's cheaper if you go to the store. You used to have to call and wait on hold, right? And tell the guy what toppings you want and yada yada, and read him your credit card. You don't have to do that now. You press a button, you hit, it already has your card saved, and it just brings it right over. People don't have to go out anymore to hang out with people. You just go and people sit on Netflix glued for hours.
Hmm.
We're living in a different world. And the people that are going to be successful and thrive over the next decades are the people that are going to have the ability and the human uh, uh, interpersonal skills to communicate with people. Those are going to be the most successful people. The more the world relies on technology and AI and automation, the more the people that can come to a room, show up on time, look at someone in the eye and shake hands and close a deal, those are people that are going to make it more than anybody else.
You couldn't have said it any better. You couldn't have said that any better. And I do agree on so many levels, so many aspects. We live in such a fast paced, comfortable environment now with technology. And as you mentioned, 20 years ago, none of this would have been a thing. Nowadays, just so inundated with technology and information as opposed to, in the 80s, that people take it for granted. People will just flip out their phone, as you mentioned, press that button, do whatever, and like you mentioned with your friend, he even forgot that he ordered toilet paper. And it's a sad thing where it's going now. And you do make a fair point that the people who are going to excel are the people who are really good at communicating. Because at the end of the day, that really matters. That really is what you mentioned as closing the
Never going to
deal.
be replaced.
No, no, never, never. And it's sad because people, especially my generation, are just so used to hiding behind a screen. Sure, yeah, there's pros and cons with everything, right? And it's good on a connectability aspect, like what we're doing right now. We're connecting on a level that we couldn't have if, you know, Zoom, Riverside, all these platforms that we have, if that wasn't a thing, none of this would be happening. But it's good to get that connection aspect. But it's also, in a sense, bad because there are some bad apples, as I mentioned before, going on to your hiring process. But there are some bad apples that essentially make the process, not the process, but just the whole viewpoint skewed in a way. But it's just there's so many people that are just so used to using those services, using AI, ChatGPT to, again, think for themselves, do what they wish, that they forget that they have a mind of their own and they actually have to use their own brain power, their own body to go to the store, think about X, Y, and Z. And we're losing that. We're
Right.
losing that. And it's very sad because when you stop doing those things over time, what's going to happen? You're not going to have as much brain activity, which would promote let's say dementia, dementia, Alzheimer's. You're just not using your brain to the best capability that God gave you. And
Correct.
that's a sad fact. That's
Yeah.
very sad.
Correct. I'm going to tell you, even today, with all the technology and all the automation, the biggest deals get done in person.
Hmm.
Okay. The most success, I would rather spend an hour with someone for lunch, like a real business prospect, to develop that relationship than to call 50 people cold or have an automation AI call 1,000 people. I would take a lunch with a guy for an hour over an automated AI caller calling 1,000 people. I'll get more business done with him.
Exactly. And it,
Advice is for everyone. Old school. You want to sell something, make a meeting with the guy, take him out to a restaurant, go out to a bar, hang out. Become his best friend. This is the way people used to do it.
Mhm.
This is the people who are successful today are people who still know to do that. And if you don't, learn how to do it. Push yourself. And to all the young people out there who think to just say, yeah, you're just going to message a bunch of people, on Instagram and get a bunch of people watch your video. And if they see your video, you're going to get a ton of customers. You know, you gotta take people to lunch. Seriously, go out for coffee with people. You'll make more money. You'll have faithful, loyal clients, right? That you're friends, right? They're not gonna they have a relationship with you. They're not just gonna leave because the next day someone offered them a similar service for $1 less.
It's just going back to the fact that most people are so used to sending emails, being behind a screen. There's people that are afraid to even call on the phone, let alone in a meeting, right? Face to face.
Correct.
That's just a sad thing. It's a very sad thing, and it's just going back to not a lot of people know how to communicate. That's all it just revolves around.
Yep. Exactly.
Before we wrap up here, for anyone who's listening or watching to this, what's the best place for them to reach out to you and US Virtual Guard?
If you want to reach out US Virtual Guard, I think our number's on definitely usvirtualguard.com. By the way, that was the best domain I ever bought. And the best domain after that I ever bought was for when people want to email us. US Virtual Guard could be long sometimes when you're typing it out. So we bought the acronym of it. USVG.com we own as well. So if you put in USVG.com, it will go to the same website. And for emails, to make it easier for everybody, you could just email, let's say, info@usvg.com. If you want to email me personally, you can email me at Yossi, YOSSI, at usvg.com. And yeah, we'll love to be in touch. If people are, we work with a lot of security integrators. We partner with a lot of security companies who have physical guards on site who want to have extra eyes to communicate with their guards, to let them, to have full visual. So we work with a lot of security partners, schools, homes, many different industries, as I mentioned before. If people want to reach out to keep them safe, their families safe, their neighbors safe, their businesses safe, they can reach out to us, and we'll be happy to help and help protect our nation. It's we want to be the country's the country service. That's why we called it U.S. Virtual Guard. It's literally that, it's in our name, it's in our DNA. So we're here to service the people. And yeah, thank you so much for doing this, Kevin. Keep up your great work. Keep on spreading light, spreading inspiration for people to learn from.
Thank you. I'm trying. And thank you for hopping on to this episode today, Rabbi Eliav. I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Have a good night.